Hey everybody, this is my little red-clawed mangrove crab tank, and I've been doing a little bit of work to it. I've got a few little things I want to do, but before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to get a little bit of video here and document what I'm going to be doing. So far what I've done is put a different backdrop on there. I used to have a green cloth, that was all I had at the time, but it was something to put behind it so you didn't look right through and see the wooden panel of the door that's on the other side of the tank. I didn't like the green. It was too distracting. You just saw the green when you looked in the tank, and it looked like green cloth hanging behind the tank. And, you know, it worked, but again, I wasn't satisfied with it. So what I have back there now is still not 100%. It is a black drop cloth, but it's still cloth, and it still doesn't look right when you notice it. The difference being that it sort of fades out of your mind now that it's black, and instead of providing a background color, it simply provides contrast, and therefore sort of takes it out of the realm of being background altogether. Your mind just sort of blanks it out, and you look at what's in the tank rather than what's behind it. At least that's the effect I get when I look at it. So I'm satisfied for the time being with the black drop cloth in the back. Again, I'm going to do something better at some point, unless I just get used to this and never get around to doing it again. That's entirely possible with me. I also switched over the lighting. I had a light fixture on there that was from my 125, and it was a 3-foot fixture, but it only has a 2-foot tube in it, and it was very inadequate for my lighting. It's this fixture here. You can see it goes all the way up to there, but it's only got this little tube in the middle of it, and that's it. So what I did was put a fixture on there that is a fixture I put together myself out of an under cabinet fixture. It didn't have any background reflector or anything. So the fixture itself is not particularly attractive, but I do have it covered up by that black drop cloth, and therefore you can't even see the fixture, so I'm not worried about it. But what it is two 2-foot T5s. So I went from one 2-foot T8 to 2 T5s of the same length, and it really ramped up the lighting in there, and it's a nice brightly lit tank now. So I should be getting some serious growth on whatever this green stuff is. I collected that back in the forest. I think it is some kind of fern. I saw a video one day where a guy was talking about stuff in the outdoors, and he mentioned something that looked really similar. It doesn't look like any kind of fern I've ever seen, so I'm not going to really call it that, but I think that might be some sort of fern. I'm not sure, and here's some more of it over here. It's doing really well. I was afraid it would not do well in both the wet conditions it's in, plus the sort of salty conditions it's in. This is brackish water, so it does have a high degree of salt in it compared to what you would think of as a freshwater stream or a bog type environment. So that's doing really well. I'm happy with that. I think the new lighting I put on there, and I just did this yesterday, but I think that's really going to make a big difference. You can see where it's already turning up towards it, and in fact on this one you can see right there against the back glass, that's all new growth coming out. The stuff that's coming up through the fern there is a little bit of creeping jenny, but the crabs in here really like the creeping jenny, and they've destroyed almost all of it. That little bit coming up is growing back from roots that fern you see in the corner there, that moss you see in the corner there is on top of a very small flower pot, you know, a little package planter that you get from the store when you buy stuff, and it has a little bit of creeping jenny in it. So that's where that creeping jenny is coming back through the moss, and once the crabs get a hold of it, they will destroy it again. The upshot to that is I just got back from the garden center this morning, and it is now springtime, so I got some creeping jenny. And we've got more than enough to get the tank loaded up, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. Obviously I'm not going to put all of this in there. That would be a huge bush that would start growing rapidly, but we do have some creeping jenny to start working with. And I also went out in the yard, and I know it's not coming out really well right there, but I picked up some really beautiful tufts of fern. I keep calling this fern, I'm sorry, moss, if I'll ever focus on it. So we've got this. This is all the same species, but I have about 5 chunks of it. And it just comes right up off the ground. It brings just a little bit of soil with it. and that can just be set down in there somewhere, and it is just beautiful, beautiful moss. So don't know what I'm going to do with this. I've got a fair amount of it. I know it's not really coming out on camera, but all of this is chunks of that moss. And then of course I've got all of that creeping Jenny right there that I can do something with. So we'll see. Let me get started on that, and I will do a nice little follow-up here when I'm done tinkering. So here's your before. And there's your after. So I opted to go with the giant bush worth of creeping Jenny. I did use the entire pack. It was a nice big root mass. I could have divided it up, but I decided we would go for the impact, you know, the big visual impact. I'm hoping as time grows on, it'll sort of spread out and grow over that rock in front of it and out and maybe lie across the surface of the water. This may get a little bit golden color. I know if it gets enough sunlight, it'll turn a golden color. But I don't know, even with these T5s in there, that's not even, you know, it doesn't hold a match to natural sunlight. So I don't think we're going to get a lot of golden color. But it looks pretty good. And it's been about 4 hours since I shot that first clip. And you can see how it is already turning upwards and growing towards the light. So what I did was just pull the entire root mass out of the pot and laid it on top of the rock and sort of tucked it down behind it. So that the roots are down into the water. You can actually see a little bit of them. Well, I don't know if there's enough light to see them, but you can see them sort of sticking out underneath that moss down there. And then I just took a few pieces of that moss and I tucked it around there so you can't really see the dirt or the roots or anything. It just kind of disguises it a little bit. I've also done the same back there. I've tucked a couple little pieces of moss here and there. I was really torn about that one. As beautiful as that moss is, I put it on top of a rock that I really like too, so now you can't really see the rock as well, but that moss is just so fantastic. I'm going to leave it where it is. And then I also put a piece over here on this rock and replaced the moss that was on there. And then I went out in the yard and I got a different kind of moss. Here I got a piece left over. It grows in sheets, and I can just pull this up. I pulled a carpet's worth of it up and then more or less tore it to the size and shape I wanted and draped it over my filter, so you can see it's getting wet enough that the moisture is being drawn up on top. And we've already got moisture all the way up to there, so soon this will all be moist enough that it should do pretty well. It should thrive in there. I really like the way it looks with the waterfall behind it. It makes it a little quieter, which I like as well. It's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt when it comes time to change the filters in there, but not really, because this is just a little bit of a carpet lying on top of it. It's not going to root to it. It'll just be another layer of work. I'll have to gently lift the moss off, take the lid off the filter, and then replace the filters, and then sort of put the moss all back on there. And that is providing the moss lives. Remember, this is going to be a very plastic tank. Plastic meaning it's going to be malleable, changeable. We can do different things with it. I can add plants if stuff doesn't work, if it doesn't work out, or if I just get tired of looking at it, I can remove it and do something else. There's all sorts of stuff if you want to go with a tank that's marginal, where you can grow in or out of the water, and you've got oxygenated water. There's a wide variety of plants you can put in a tank like this to make it look really nice. So we've got all summer. I mean, it's only the beginning of March, so I'm really looking forward to what we can do with this tank. So that's what I did with it today. Who knows what it'll look like a month from now, but make sure you're subscribed, and that way you'll find out what it's going to look like a month from now, because I'm sure it will look different than it does now. So thanks again for watching. This is my crab tank. Hope you enjoyed it. See you real soon in the next one.